like to think of myself as a pretty good secret keeper. What I mean by that is that if someone says, "Oh, I have a secret, please keep it," I'm good. I'm a good person to tell that to. But as far as me keeping secrets from people that are close to me, I'm not good at that. I mean, I can do it, but I feel kind of tortured inside about it. And I learned this about myself back when I was about 19 years old. I was studying abroad in Scotland. So this is kind of your international romance thing. And this was, just so that you understand, this was a time period. I had a boyfriend from college, in the US. And this was before email really existed. So we had this kind of pre-email thing where if you added a whole bunch of parts to the address, you could communicate with somebody overseas. It was so pre-email that I remember I told my dad this. I'm like, "Dad, I can contact somebody via the computer for free and they'll get it." And he was like, "Oh, Jenny, you don't know what you're talking about." And I'm like, "No, really." So it was again, pre-email. I had to go to a certain computer on campus. There was that we could only do it from one computer. It was Windows 95. So it was like a yellow blinking square was what I would see when I would go to enter this in. There was really nothing to it. You would just type in the address. You would type your message. And the boyfriend that I had from college, we would communicate every day through this pre-email. And before that I had gone abroad, we had decided that that it was okay for us to see other people. We'd only been going, before you judge, we'd only been going out for about 7 months, and we were going to be apart for 9. So we thought, well, it's only fair. We're young. We can see other people while we're apart. So, and I learned later that he thought that would only apply to him. But that's a separate story. So I met a Scottish guy while I was abroad, and I felt really, even though we had this agreement, I felt really guilty about it. And my conscience just wouldn't let it rest. And I felt like I can't keep this from him. So in order to prepare myself to tell him, I thought I would write to my roommate from college and ask her advice about what I should do. Should I say something? And I put all of my anxieties in this email that I thought was to her. And because I was like on automatic pilot, I would type out this, and again, the addresses were super long. I would type out this address every day to him, that when I wrote to her with all of my anxieties unscripted, I wrote it to him. And as soon as I pressed the equivalent of send, I knew what I had done. Back then, there was about a 4-hour difference between the time that you send an email and it would arrive. So I had 4 hours to contemplate what to do. So first I told my friends who were there, who all laughed at me and thought it was really funny as I was going through all this angst. And then I decided that I was going to call him, collect on the payphone. And I called him, and he was all excited to hear from me. And I had to tell him what I had done. And I didn't even know what I had written, because it was just like free flow consciousness. And I remember his voice went from super excited to hear from me to dead silence. And it ended up, working out in the end. You're 19. Those relationships don't necessarily last. But I've learned since then that I am a one-guy woman only. And I have kept to that ever since.